Even though my food plan was clean, I was still very much obsessed by thoughts of what I'm going to eat, when I'm going to eat, what I should and shouldn't eat, body size and shape and stuff like that. I just can't tell you the freedom I feel just getting rid of those obsessive thoughts. One of the benefits is just knowing.
Hi, everybody. Dr. Joan Ifland here, and I am so thrilled to be bringing you this podcast, Conversations with Joan Ifland. Today, I have Sheila Gravely, and she has got an amazing story because a lot of her recovery took place before she came into the ARC. And you'll get a really good idea of like the whole glorious picture of what you can get when you get off of processed foods and get into a really supportive community. But first, I want you to know about Sheila's very impressive background. So Sheila, just give us the rundown of your experience, your education. Tell us.
Okay, let's see. I was headed towards medical school. When I went to college, I was pre-med and ended up not going to medical school. I ended up getting a graduate degree in psychology instead. And I was headed in that direction. But then I had a major life crisis that kind of derailed me from that as well. And I ended up working for a small engineering firm where they needed computer programmers. So I ended up going to George Washington University, learning how to do computer programming, became a software engineer. Talk about pivots, right? And worked in that field for about 7 years, and then I ended up getting married and having children, and I stayed home with my children and picked up my counseling passion at that point. I started counseling as a volunteer at a faith organization and quickly became very involved with that. I ended up becoming director of counseling at that organization.
Wow.
Yeah, and I served in that organization. I served in that organization for just over 25 years. I was the
Wow, that's
director.
amazing. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. So I spent, while I was there, I ended up going to seminary and getting a degree in spiritual counseling of a particular type involved with that ministry. And then I counseled for, as I said, just over 25 years.
Yeah.
And then I retired from that position and I became a life coach. Well, in the meantime, there was this other track going on in my life. Okay. It was kind of like a dual track. I was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition in, it was 1994, during the pregnancy with my second child. And, they told me I was going to have to spend a lifetime on really nasty medications. And I decided I didn't really want to do that. Most of it was because I am just not into medications. The particular medication that they wanted me to take would cause all kinds of health conditions as well as weight gain. And I was traumatized by food obsession already. And when I knew that it was going to cause me all these problems, I decided, nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take it into my hands and I'm going to approach this from a lifestyle.
Oh my gosh.
Plan.
Those were the heavens intervening, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at that point, I started studying natural health, and I have quite a few credentials in natural health. I'm a naturopath, And then I have a lot of other little certifications for holistic wellness.
Uh-huh.
So I was able to um, pretty much be in remission from this autoimmune condition that I was diagnosed with, just using clean food and lifestyle medicine, basically.
Okay. Okay.
And so it's been about 34 years since then.
Wow. Wow.
And I do not take any medication.
Yeah.
And and so that brought me to my love of natural health and wellness, together with my passion for counseling, brought me to a point where I wanted to dedicate the third act of my life, I call it, to helping people live their healthiest, best life that they can. So
Okay.
I started my own business as a health and wellness practitioner, life coach.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And that's where I started to realize that I was missing something. I was
Okay.
missing, I had clients that I really wanted to help, and for a while, they would do really, really well. And then they wouldn't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was missing something. I knew I was missing an essential ingredient because I knew all the things, all the food plans, all of the, steps that people could take to make themselves well and healthy,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
people just couldn't stick with it.
Yeah.
And then I heard you speak.
Ah.
I heard you speak. It was the Quit Sugar Summit several years
Mm.
ago. And I heard you talk about processed food addiction. And I thought, is that really a thing? Processed food addiction? I had never heard of it before. So I tracked down more information about processed food addiction, about you. I discovered the organization, and I contacted you to see if I could learn more about it. And that's when I decided to enroll in the FARA training program.
Mm-hmm. Food
And the
addiction
rest,
recovery advocate training.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's right, right. Food addiction recovery advocate training, and the rest is history. I, I joined the ARC, and it was about 2 years ago now, and I just really have enjoyed the training and the self-development, my own growth and development that I've experienced as a
Okay.
member of the ARC has just been
Okay.
phenomenal.
Well, that's really what, for somebody like you have an incredible amount of training. And you're a versatile person. When you needed to work in computer programming, software development, you did that. When you needed to stay at home with your kids, you did that. When you needed to get a psychology degree, you did that. When you needed to become a naturopath, you did that, and other certifications. And when you needed to become a health coach, you did that. So the depth of your experience and your education. So you were doing all these things and then practicing. You practiced as a spiritual counselor.
Hmm.
You were in it. You were in it for 25 years. Practiced, practiced, practiced. You got these educations and then you found people to work with. But still, nonetheless, in spite of that incredible background, when you came into the ARC, you got something that you hadn't gotten anywhere else.
That's right.
And that, what I'm hearing you say, is it was knowing yourself.
Yes, it was. And there was a lot of emotional growth that happened for me when I came into the ARC. As many people as I've counseled over the years, and I've been in therapy myself as well, but I never really had the skills that I needed to process emotions the way
Mm.
I was able to get those skills in the ARC and process them with other ARC members in community. I think
Yeah.
that was the essential thing for me. I mean,
Yeah.
you can acquire skills and you can understand things with head knowledge, but until you actually put them in place, practicing them, processing through them with other people in community, you really don't integrate them
Right.
into your
This
life.
is so, if our listeners today take away one message, it's that things need a group in order to work. It is the way the human brain is designed. We have these very special brain cells called mirror neurons, and they're called mirror neurons because literally they watch what's going on around us, and then they reach out to the cells, the brain cells around them, and they program them. They imprint them. They create impressions upon them. This is a real mechanical process. And so if you're watching people who are, practicing meditation and getting something out of it, then your mirror neurons are imprinting that on your brain. But if you're trying to do it by yourself and you don't have those mirror neurons telling cells what to do by copying, it won't work. And that's shocking. But I know, we all look at YouTube. YouTube's got this kind of healing video and that kind of healing video. I've tried them over the years. I could never get the hang of meditation, and they never did one little thing for me. And I never thought they worked. I thought it was all just quackery. But now that I'm doing them in a group, they work incredibly well.
Mm-hmm.
They work shockingly well. If everybody knew how to use these other modalities, we would be freed from a lot of things that are considered to be incurable. So was that your experience, Sheila?
It was. It was the first time. Well, I wouldn't say it was the first time I'd ever been. I've been in groups before where I've gleaned a lot of value. But this group, this community is daily, online, many hours a day. You can check in and check out whenever you need to. The other groups that I've been involved with might have met once a week, something like this. This is immersive. And I think that it being immersive is really helpful to the recovery process, to the change process, not just
Mm-hmm.
recovery, but just growth and change.
Yes, yes. This is a good point. Those mirror neurons are not going to actively copy somebody that they see once a week.
Mm-mm.
Mirror neurons decide who to copy and how to imprint your brain with other people's behaviors based on who they see the most. And that's why our community broadcasts live on Zoom with trained hosts 15 hours a day around the clock. You can check in the middle of the night. If you're in New York, you'll be hearing the Australians. If you're in Australia, you'll be hearing the New Yorkers. But this is how you get the brain to really effectively commit to new behaviors easily. It's easy and it's fun if you have the right resource, if you have the right skills. So let's go back to skills. Sheila, give us some examples of skills that you've picked up in the art.
Well, I have picked up the skill of being able to regulate my emotions through emotional processing. We have a couple of different tools that we use. We use the Byron Katie work as adapted for the ARC. We use something called the 8 healing questions that has been very helpful to me. We have just a vast number of video recordings that I have watched some of them over and over again,
Mm.
about, and a lot of them deal with. I can remember one, making 5 steps to making emotions your friends. I think is my favorite one, and
I love
I
that one.
really benefited from that.
Yeah.
Um, and the skills of doing these ARC exercises where um, you actually process through a thought that you have, and you get
Yes.
to question yourself whether or not that thought is true,
Mm-hmm.
and who you would be without that thought. And I
Mm-hmm.
would add to it, some of the work that I do is I'd add to it, what do I do when I think that thought? What behaviors follow that thought? And do I like those behaviors? And if I don't, what can I do to modify that thought so that it's still true for me? It's not a stretch, but that serves me more. And I think I've done
Yeah.
more work there in the past 2 years than I've done in the rest of my life, basically.
Okay. Yeah, I know. When it gets to be easy, you just want to do it because now it's very easy to sweep out limiting beliefs, negative beliefs, the negative chatter, the debating. It's easy to sweep it out when you can pop in and out all day long. We broadcast for 3 or 4 hours and then we take a break. We broadcast, but you can go over, as Sheila says, and get videos out. You can also, we send out a daily podcast.
Mhm.
So your skills are constantly being reinforced by hearing other people use them successfully. And that's the key, that it's successful. They feel better. They are engaged in less harmful behavior. They are happier. Their thoughts are not racing around in their heads, and it's not painful thoughts. But I think the thing that I like about the arc is that you can just chip away at it. You
Mhm.
don't have to have like big epiphanies and gut wrenching, mind blowing breakthroughs. No, just chip, 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 chip. Nope, that's gone. That's gone. That's gone. That little one, that's gone. And it's becomes kind of normal. And you sweep your kitchen floor and you go out and you do a couple of exercises and sweep out some stuff from your brain.
Yeah.
So, would you like to give us like a real life example of something that you used, something kind of
Hmm.
painful that used to be in your life that's not there anymore?
Let me think. Let's see. I think one of the things that surprises me is, um, something will happen, some event will happen that used to upset me, either used to irritate me or give me a lot of anxiety, or put me under a lot of stress, put me in fight, flight, freeze, and now that same thing will happen, same sort of circumstance, same sort of event, and I'm like, I'm not stressed. I'm not
It's
anxious.
so weird.
I'm not irritated anymore. And
How
that's when
wonderful.
I didn't notice it happening. I noticed that it happened when I'm presented with a similar circumstance that I
Yeah, like a
would.
milestone. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm like, hmm, wow, that's really changed. You know?
Yeah. Go to a moment, Sheila, if you can. Go to a moment that when you, if you can pull up the context for one of those, wow, I'm not upset kind of moments. Can you remember the circumstances of any one of them?
Let me think. I didn't prepare anything. Let me think of some of well, okay.
No, where I really noticed it was with my family members.
With my family members, I have great relationships with my family members. So that's not as much as, um, I've had some, um, okay. I am somewhat of a perfectionist. I'm a recovering perfectionist, right?
Uh-huh.
And one of the things that sends me flying off the wall is when I make a mistake, when I make
Mm.
an error, when, well, I can think of one thing that even happened today that would have just
Okay.
put me, you know, off the wall for a week. I found out today that one of my new members has not heard from me.
Mm.
Okay. And I've been sending emails, but apparently they've been ending up in spam or junk,
Oh,
right?
oh.
One of those typical things. And in the past, that would have just I would have been so upset. I would have been angry at the email, you know. I just would have been very upset, and it would have really thrown me off track,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Today, I found out about it and I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And but it didn't I didn't feel like, "Oh, I'm a failure. I'm not worthy. I'm not enough." I didn't have those feelings. I was like, "Oh, well, sorry." I am
It's a
sorry. I do
different life.
apologize, but
Yeah.
it's just
We move
completely
forward. Yeah. We
a
say we're sorry.
completely different response.
We
Completely
fix
different
it,
response. Mhm.
but we don't have to get into the spin cycle in the washing machine
Right.
along the way.
And that's just a small example, but it's
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 indicative of if
exactly.
we don't have that, we suffer because that stuff goes on all day. Nobody's doing anything perfectly. Like I'm looking over at my sofa, there are clothes lying on it. It's just like, nope, I didn't get my clothes put away this morning. So yeah, it's but I can say I can even just not even notice it. It's so inconsequential. Or I can beat myself up about it. Well, you're
Mhm.
a slob and you don't know how to keep house and your mother was right. And no, escaping that. So you're getting a course in doing exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah. Yes,
Thoughts
ma'am.
equal emotions get translated into behavior. But almost everybody I've ever talked to at any length is really devastated by the negative self talk,
Mhm.
the critical voice, the debate in the head.
Mhm.
So you're going to give a whole 4-week course in that, which I just am so excited about.
Yeah, I am. I'm really excited about it too. This will be the second offering that I've done. I gave the first course in February, and it was wonderful working with people on, first of all, we learn to identify our thoughts.
Yeah.
Listening to what's going on, the internal chatter that's going on. And then, I instruct them about how their thoughts lead to how they feel.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts lead to an emotion, and our
Mm-hmm.
emotions determine how we then react. What do we do when we feel a certain way?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so I help people become aware of the internal chatter, become aware of how they feel. Actually get into the feeling of the emotion in the body.
This is it. Thoughts, someone said to me, thoughts are emotions. Well, I don't know if that's true, but all thoughts have an emotional component or
Mhm.
emotional content. And when we've lived in the culture that we've lived in, which is a negative culture, advertisers are allowed to bombard us with all of our deficiencies that would be filled with one of their products,
Mhm.
uh, which is not true. It's gaslighting of just the worst degree. But yeah, those thoughts are painful.
They
And
are.
so, what you're really talking about is a pathway out of a whole painful life into a fun life.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
inside our
yeah,
heads.
yeah, inside our heads. And then, to complete it, what I do is I teach the power of the pause, I call it. The power of
Mhm.
taking a pause between feeling a specific emotion and then taking action on it. Because
Mhm.
if we can pause and bring our thoughts back to the frontal lobe, you know,
Mhm.
let's say we've been cued by something. There's something in our environment that is a cue for us,
So
and
true.
it triggers a craving. Okay.
Mhm.
If we can pause between feeling that craving and taking action on that craving, then we can bring ourselves back into our frontal lobe to make the decision that we want to make about that craving. We can intercept, I guess is a good word.
Yeah.
When we become practiced at that and get better and better at that, we can experience the results we want to
Well,
experience.
we can stop falling prey to the
Exactly.
manipulations of the processed food industry, and we can do a better, more consistent job gradually
Oh,
as we
yes.
build these thought control skills at avoiding their tragically effective methods of
Yeah.
us hurting ourselves. We're not hurting ourselves. They're manipulating us into hurting ourselves. That's not us. Our hearts and souls are not doing that. This is eating processed foods is a direct response to the manipulations of the food industry. But
Hmm.
all the skills that Sheila's talking about, that's how you that's how you protect against that manipulation.
Exactly.
Right. I have to ask this, Sheila. Top three benefits. Now you have a lot of clarity. I had a lot of good things going on before I came into the ARC. I had a clean food plan and I had a lot of spiritual, and I just had this terrific training. Top three benefits that you got after coming into the ARC.
Okay. The top three benefits I got, I think the first one would have to be um, freedom from food obsession
Oh,
thoughts.
super.
Because even though my food plan was clean, I was still very much obsessed by thoughts of what I'm going to eat, when I'm going to eat, what I should and shouldn't eat,
Yeah.
my and obsessive thoughts about, body size and shape and stuff like
Oh
that.
my gosh. Yeah.
And I just can't tell you the freedom I feel just getting rid of those obsessive thoughts.
That's so cool.
Working, it was work and it took time, but I don't really think about that too much anymore.
Very cool. Very
Um,
cool.
and related to that, one of the benefits is um, just knowing that I can go at my own pace. That's one
Uh-huh.
of the benefits of being in the ARC. We do not have you must do this and then this and then this and you have to do it in a certain amount of time. No, we work at our own pace. We work on what we need to work
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
individually, and that whole concept is a great benefit to me because I am a rule follower and I want
Yeah.
rules to follow. I had to break
Yeah.
myself for that.
Yeah.
And that was a good thing. That was a good
It
thing.
is. It's so, when somebody says to you, when you're in a community that says, we respect your sense of pacing and we respect your priorities. And in fact, we're going to teach you how to put your hand on your heart and let your pacing and your priorities come up. then that works. Then people regain trust in themselves and in their own inner voices. You do learn how to distinguish that from the craving pathways. Just, wow. But
Yeah.
yes. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. This is something I'm really glad you're talking about this, because this astonishes me over and over again. I'm becoming more and more aware of it. I've been in the ARC for 6 years. I had a whole lot of lifetime trauma to peel away before I could start regularly hearing my own self, my own heart, soul, spirit, whatever you want to call it. But oh my gosh, it's like I have this new fantastic friend in my life who has the best possible ideas all the time at every turn. Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
fun. All right, number 3.
Number three, I think, is being able to be a part of a community with a vision
Mm,
or a mission for
mm,
bringing about healing of this horrible situation we find ourselves in our culture. I just, as a lone business owner coach, I couldn't even begin to scratch the surface of that sort of thing. But
mhm,
I think
mhm.
as a community and being a part of that community that can do that, this community that can actually make a difference in all these people's lives, that's been a great benefit to me. And that's why I am so dedicated to seeing the organization flourish and
Yeah,
grow.
yeah,
And, that's it's also a benefit to me.
yeah. This is so true. This is just could not be truer. We do. Even if you miss it, we have a patent pending party coming up where we're going to talk about the patent that we do have pending. By the time you're watching this, maybe we'll have a permanent patent. But if you would like to learn more about the patent, just send an email to info@processfoodaddiction.com and we'll send you a recording on it. But yes, this is so cool. We've got this new technology. We have learned how to incorporate Zoom into recovery in a way that nobody else has ever done it, around the clock, science based discussions. So, science and business practice. I've
Mm-hmm.
got a Stanford MBA way in my background, and we know what the businesses are doing to us. And therefore, Sheila knows how to teach people how to protect against it specifically. It's
Mm-hmm.
a tremendous amount of fun. It's just so much fun to be involved in something that's on the total cutting edge. You can do things that nobody else can do. And I agree, Sheila. I think that is, and the thing that's amazing about it is how easy this is.
Yeah.
Because we're here all the time, it's just as easy as if you were living in a country where they spoke another language and that's all you heard all day. Pretty soon you would be picking up that language. It's just so easy when you can tune into it all the time, 24 hours a day,
Mm-hmm.
either live or a recording from the library or the daily podcast. Then these things, and people come in all the time. Oh, I've been trying to do this for 20 years. I've been trying to have one clean day for 20 years. It only took a week in the ARC. I have been trying to do this for 20, been trying to stop this behavior for 20 years. Well, in my first week, I did it twice. And then the next week, I did it once, and I haven't done it in 6 weeks. Why? It's those mirror neurons.
Mm-hmm.
They're busy imprinting clean behavior, clean thinking, fun, all the things that have come out of looking at about 8,000 studies over the last 20 years. Yeah, so it doesn't have to be painful anymore. Does that surprise you, Sheila?
Um, It does a little because that's the way that we're taught. Things are painful. Change is painful and uncomfortable. And change is somewhat uncomfortable, but it's certainly this is not painful. This is fun. This is fun.
It's fun.
So,
And it works.
yes,
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah, the phrase that you hear in gyms, no pain, no gain, that is gaslighting. You actually get much, much, much more gain if you can develop routines, develop processes that don't involve pain, because like people are going to avoid things that involve pain. So if you can make it painless, which I think we've done, we've gotten about as close as you can get to that, then you're just drawn to it naturally. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Any parting thoughts, Sheila? This has been grand.
Parting thoughts. If you have an opportunity to sign up for the ARC or sign up for the Food Addiction Recovery Advocate Training, do it. It will change your life for the better, and it will be fun.
Yeah.
In the process.
And if you would like to get to know Sheila better, which I bet you do by now, sign up for one of her short courses. 4 weeks, $50. She's there live, and it'll be fun.
That's the name of it. Manage your mind, how to change how you act.
Thank you, Sheila. Thanks for coming and visiting today. I appreciate you so much.
Well,
and
welcome,
thank you
Joan.
all for listening in on Conversations with Joan Ifland. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for coming today. I appreciate your interest. Tell the next person. You can walk the next person out of this processed food nightmare with what you learned today. See you next time.